This is a Boston-based event showcasing what we have here in the city. Almost all the events have Boston speakers, but in this case, we brought someone special from New York. And so we're having a conversation with them.
I'm originally from Ohio, so
Go Cleveland.
And so Patrick is an attorney with ConsensSys, and ConsensSys was formed by the founder of Ethereum. And the mission of ConsensSys is to drive adoption of new technologies and applications for the platform. They have over 300 people in a distributed corporation across the world, and they have a number of really interesting sort of focus points. And so we're going to go over some of those today. And so, Patrick, why don't you tell us a little bit about ConsensSys and all the different initiatives that you guys have to promote innovation within the sort of blockchain and Ethereum space?
yeah, sure. So really, the mission of ConsensSys is to really further the mission of ConsensSys is really to further the decentralization ecosystem. We really believe in the promise of the impact that this can have on society in a lot of different ways. And so we really have a lot of different initiatives and business lines that really just try to support and further the ecosystem pretty much at all levels. We do everything from incubation type activities with really early stage entrepreneurs and companies. We're starting a VC arm to work with companies that are a little further along. We also do enterprise consulting and technology development with really large corporations as well as governments. We also have an education wing. We're running our first Developers Academy right now to teach more developers how to develop on the Ethereum blockchain. And so we're really just trying to basically anywhere along the line in the ecosystem you can imagine, we're trying to do whatever we can to support the ecosystem and further things along. And I guess I should add, we also develop tools for developers as well. So chances are, if you're a developer on Ethereum, you probably used some of our tools before as well.
So it sounds like you've got a great perspective on all the initiatives that you undertake and with the number of companies that you work with. So can you take a step back from all of that and tell the audience here who's not as deep into the space, where are we in this cycle?
So one way we like to think about it is that we feel like it's 1993 relative to like 1996 in terms of the internet. I mean, it's really early. There's a lot of work to be done, both on our side from the blockchain ecosystem, but also just in terms of having applications that can really make an impact on people's daily lives.
Now we hear a lot about ICOs, right? And so July raised $550 million for ICOs. August was a bit less. How much of that is hype? How much of that is real? How much of that is we should all be investing in it because it's 1993 and the internet's going to happen? And how much of it should we stay away from?
Well, being a lawyer, I know not to give investment advice, so I will certainly refrain from doing that. Look, I think that I think there's a lot of really interesting stuff going on, obviously, in the token sale area. I think that the promise of blockchains and in particular ERC20 tokens is really pretty staggering in the sense of the new opportunities to do capital formation and also just to do businesses, to create businesses and services that really previously were, if not impossible, were really just too difficult to do with the technology. So I think there's really a lot of exciting promise, and I think it's obviously going to be really interesting to see how it all develops.
Can you tell us about one?
one particular token.
Yeah. Application that you think, where the application itself is actually valuable in the long term.
Well, so I mean, honestly, I think there are several out there. I think one application that's coming to mind because I'm working on it right now is Grid Plus. It's a ConsensSys spoke that is going to be doing a token sale, and it is essentially leveraging the Ethereum blockchain to be able to expose consumers, to give consumers the opportunity to purchase wholesale or close to wholesale energy. And that's an initial kind of first step to what they're going to be doing, but I think there's a lot of really interesting things that they're going to be able to do as they move forward.
So you mentioned the venture capital fund. ConsensSys recently decided to put $50 million towards investing in Ethereum-based companies. Why did they do that, and what's the opportunity there?
So yeah, ConsensSys is creating a VC arm, and the thinking there is, again, we really want to take any opportunity we can to help the ecosystem and help entrepreneurs and companies that are interested in building and advancing the blockchain ecosystem. We want to do whatever we can to help them. Add to that, we had an opportunity to bring on Kavita Gupta, who is going to be running the VC arm for us, and she really has a very impressive track record, and she's only been with us a short time now, but I can say she's very impressive, and I think it was just a great opportunity to move the ecosystem in a good direction.
Now, you mentioned that you also work with regulators. What do we need to know about that? Because mostly what we hear is the value and all this appreciation is because it's outside of the regulated market. Is that creating opportunities when regulation comes in, or is it going to slow down the growth of what's happening now? And how do you work with regulators?
Yeah, I think, from my perspective, I think, like I said at the outset, I think ConsensSys really, our primary mission is advancing the ecosystem and this, the promise of blockchain and the promise of decentralization. And I think we really believe that that mission is not going to succeed unless we, the members of the ecosystem solve a lot of the problems that the regulators are trying to solve. Whether that's anti-fraud, consumer protection, and any number of the other kind of, I guess, first principles that guide regulators and what they're trying to do. From my perspective, I view working with regulators as a chance to partner with them. We're trying to achieve the same goals. I think we have a lot to learn from them. They've been doing this longer than at least most of us have been doing it, and hopefully we can work with them and teach them about this new technology and the different implications or use cases that could come forward in the future. So I think there's a great opportunity for partnership and really just figuring out what the market and what the ecosystem is going to look like in the future.
Great, thank you. So we know you have a flight back, and so he's actually running really late. He's going to take off for Logan right now. But we appreciate the time tremendously and sharing your fantastic perch of the ecosystem with us.
Thank you.